Welcome to the Roofing CEO Playbook podcast. Build it to sell it. We're here to cut through the noise, all the rhetoric, to show you how to build your roofing business, make it profitable, where you make a boat ton of money, and the cherry on top, when you're ready to sell, you can sell to a private equity firm and change your family's life. I believe to be a good coach, you gotta have a little savage in you. I believe to be a CEO, you have to have a little savage in you, right?
100%, and coincidentally, I believe the more loving you are of your team, both at work and on the field, the higher you can demand from the team.
And he's like, I'll do it right now on my next call.
Wow.
And it changed like that. Everyone got on board with the technology.
It's like, we're not in the game of, selling fancy software or shiny technology. We're in the game of, can we make a demonstrable difference in your financial outcome? That's it.
Part 2 of this episode is up next, but before you do that, punch that like and subscribe button. Let's effing grow, people. Time to build and sell your company. Let's talk about that, because I got one better for you from Marketing Pro. I don't know if you ever thought about this. So what we look at is, we say, instead of we get into the leads and where we're getting leads from, but we actually look at revenue per source.
100%.
And we shift our marketing dollars towards where so people say to me, oh man, Angie's Leads does well for you. I'm like, Angie's Leads does very well for me. And we actually shift more money into it. And people are like, there's no way. I'm like, well, look inside ServiceTitan. I'll tell you a funny story. So I still interview marketing companies. And to believe I personally can call up a marketing company in the country and they not know who I am is comical to me. Not being arrogant or rude, but I'm like, hey, I'm Lance Bachmann. I own LB Capital. I own a few roofing companies, and I just want to talk to you. So I was talking to someone 2 weeks ago, and I said, hey, we're on ServiceTitan, just so you know. We'd like to review that data. He's like, nope. We use our Google Analytics and our Google AdWords to show you how well we're working. I said, really? I said, where in Google AdWords can I see how much revenue
You can't. That's why they want to do it that way, because you can't see the revenue.
So he's like, well, we set goals up. I said, goals? And he goes, yeah, we have attribution of dollar amount for goals. I said, that's awesome. I said, you're showing me. Now, clearly, I know all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I said, now can I show you my dashboard? And I started showing him, sir. And Bill's saying, he's like, why are you wasting your time, Lance? I'm like, I'm not wasting, I do enjoy it a little bit, right? So I'm showing him, do you think I might be flying blind here if I don't use this?
Yeah.
And the guy's like, absolutely not. We're one of the best in the country, yada, yada, yada. And you don't worry about that data. I'm like, I shouldn't worry about my dollars for revenue source? He's like, no. He's like, because you're going to see such an improvement over here. And I was like, how the hell could someone say not to use revenue by source? Think about that.
Every lead is not the same. You could get 100 leads that result in $200 repairs, or you can get 10 leads that result in $20,000 replacements.
And that's why revenue by source is so important. And I think when people, and really, and I'm going to talk to you about another product I like yours a lot. I think it still needs some work, Dispatch Pro. But I think the AI there is really amazing when you do it correctly. Yeah. But a lot of people don't want to build it out, and then people start complaining. Even in my own organization right now, I'm having full transparency with you. My sales leader is like, the AI can't tell what kind of lead it truly is. I'm like, but it knows it's a roof repair. Yeah. And it's giving you, spitting out the data. And we were probably on it for 30 days, not to let it kick in. But how long do you think that needs? Because I like Dispatch Pro. I'm a component of it, and all my companies will go back on it once I can spend more time with it. Can you talk to me about it and how it works and what it does? Because I think that's probably, for me, one of the biggest game changers you guys have.
Yeah. So I'll give a quick summary about what Dispatch Pro is trying to do. Ultimately, it is trying to more intelligently automate the assignment of which technician or sales rep is assigned to what job. And our goal is two things. One, we believe it is very hard when you run an operation of scale where you have dozens of jobs coming in and you have dozens of technicians to manage. For a dispatcher, every time a new job comes in, to reevaluate the whole board and to figure out which technician is best suited to take on this job, while also thinking about all the other jobs that the technician might be suited for. And so with AI ML, we are able to take a look at technician performance data, including things like what skills does this technician have, how far is he from this location, how has his recent service or sales performance been? Is he on a hot streak or not on a hot streak? And then also compare that to all the data about the customer. What kind of home is this? How old is it? What's the estimated value of the home? Where is it located? What is the demographic data about that area? And we believe that through data, certainly, no software can know every single thing about a potential opportunity, but neither can any human.
Correct.
Right? But we believe that software through AI and data can form a more informed opinion on this. And so part of it is anytime an opportunity is booked, based on all things I mentioned, we actually try and predict the estimated revenue you can expect from this job. And just a month ago, we had a customer who's using Dispatch Pro get on all hands with our entire company, and she shared her experience with Dispatch Pro. She compared all the jobs that were booked in a given month and what Dispatch Pro estimated the revenue on those jobs would be. And then once those jobs were actually concluded, she compared to how much revenue they actually generated. Dispatch Pro was within $4
Wow.
of the estimate.
Jesus Lord.
So it can be that accurate. And so typically what we see is that the average contractor will increase revenue by something like on the order of 10% just from Dispatch Pro.
Let's talk about, your whole goal at ServiceTitan is to help contractors become more profitable.
Make more money, that's it.
That's it. Because,
that's it, period.
And I don't think people understand that. I think people don't understand your whole goal, everything you're doing, schedule engine.
Yep.
Hey, you don't have to worry about scheduling jobs on, hey, your chat system, like everything's to make more money. Now you're coming out with, can I talk about what you're unleashing at Pantheon or no? No?
Contact center?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can talk about that.
All right, I just want to make sure. Now you're coming out with contact center, which I think is a game changer. Because first thing I said to you and Ishmael, I'm like, Bill's been interviewing AI companies left and right, yes or no? Can you talk to us about contact center and what it's going to do and the impacts? I think this is going to be a game changer for everyone that has CSR problems, that when they can't find good CSRs. Like me and Ish were talking, it's the #1 turnover job in almost every organization. Can we talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, just like anything else, it is all about, can we help contractors make more money, period, full stop. So one of the things we want to do is make, you guys, #1, spend a lot of money on marketing to generate these phone calls. #2, it's not just the marketing dollars, right? You guys spend so much time and effort making sure you do such high quality work for all your customers so that the word of mouth is really high and they refer people. So it's like you invest all this to generate the next phone call. We want to make sure that phone call doesn't go to waste. If we could, we want to try and guarantee a 100% booking rate. Okay, now that's an ideal. And so Contact Center Pro is part of this goal. And the idea here is you now have customers contacting you through multiple channels. Sometimes it's phone calls. Sometimes they want to text you, right? They want to text you, hey, I have a leak in my roof. Can you get out here today, etc. Or they might be pinging you on Facebook or on WhatsApp or on Twitter or whatever. So first and foremost, Contact Center Pro is meant to be omni-channel, okay? No matter what channel a customer wants to contact you on, we want to bring all those contacts into one pane of glass. So your CSRs are not flipping through a call screen and a text message screen and a Facebook screen and everything else. So omni-channel. Second, for really large customers who run multiple branches or locations, but they want to serve all those branches with a single call center, it's meant to be multi-tenant, okay? So you can have a single call center, all the calls from all your branches come in there, and they can see it for all your companies in one pane of glass. They don't have to flip through different screens for your different locations. And then third, we want to embed it with the power of AI. So things like, when the CSR is talking to the customer, the AI can just hear the conversation and fill out the form, right? Fill out the screen. It's Mary Jones calling, this is her address, this is the type of problem she's experiencing. It can fill it out without the CSR having to do it. Or if Mrs. Jones is calling about yesterday's invoice, ServiceTitan's Contact Center Pro will just automatically pull up the invoice without the CSR having to go dig through it. And then, of course, in the future, there's this concept of like, especially during peak periods where you guys are overwhelmed with calls, or after hours when your call center is not answering calls, instead of having those calls, not get answered and then customers turn to competitors, we will have an AI agent that will answer the call and have the customer book the appointment, so you never lose another opportunity.
I've been out here for the whole day out here, and your culture out here is something. Hey, you got a beautiful building. Not a lot of people here. We got to work on that. But beautiful building. But your culture is amazing. Everyone's nice. Everyone's super great. You went and brought in Ellen, right?
Yeah.
Who everyone loves. Can you talk to me how culture has been such a difference? Because you can't always have been such a laid-back leader. Like you're a strong personality man.
Yeah.
Have you learned a lot? Has your culture changed over the years? Have you calmed down? I mean, can you talk about that, your journey there? Because your culture here is amazing.
Thank you. So I may be calm during this conversation, but I'm very intense. The culture of ServiceTitan has remained the same from the very beginning. Like, there are 3 things that we firmly believe in that we hire for. First is this concept of changing lives, particularly our customers' lives. Like, that is fundamentally what we're dedicated to. Second is achieving the extraordinary. We want to do something that very few people have ever done. I believe you are much the same way. You want to do something in the roofing industry that's never been done before. And then third is this concept of being a dream team, that collectively we can achieve something far greater than what we can do individually. But the root principle behind these things is just this obsession with making our customers successful. Probably for 2 reasons. The first is, like I know you are a man of your word. If you commit to something, you want to make sure it's delivered despite what it costs. In many cases, like I said, these contractors have built amazing businesses. It's their livelihood on the line. It's their legacy on the line, their team on the line. Changing software is a very big deal. And if I look a contractor in the eyes, or my team looks a contractor in the eyes, whether in person across the table like now, or they're on Zoom, and they commit to the customer that by buying ServiceTitan, they will have an even more successful business, we freaking better deliver on that commitment. Like, no matter what it takes, I don't care. No matter how much it costs, we better deliver on that commitment. Like I said, in vast majority of cases, it happens on the first try. In some cases, unfortunately, there are problems, and then we will move mountains to make it right. But that fanatical obsession with making customers successful is the most important aspect of ServiceTitan's culture. And my team sees it from me every day. My team sees it from Vahe every day, and now they see it from all of our execs every day. And so the next layer like that, and all the way down to the front lines. Your
team sees a ton of different customers, from small to big to medium. Everybody was printing money in the home services during COVID. Everyone, right? Just everyone was home. Usage went up. I mean, just now we're probably almost a year and a half, 2 years since. Well, you live in California, you might be like 3 days out of the lockdown, but that's a whole different conversation.
We're still in.
You might be going back. Question for you, all joking aside. Have you seen a trend difference? Are HVAC companies and contractors still up the majority of growth like you saw during COVID, or the majority of them kind of flattened out and down? There's rumors some are down. Can you kind of talk to us about that? What you're seeing?
So certainly the past year and a half has been challenging, I think, for most people. This summer, I think, was quite productive for a lot of contractors because we finally got weather. It's shocking that for the past 2 summers, we haven't really gotten good weather or hot weather, right? This summer has been exceptionally hot. And so a lot of contractors are doing well. Some are still not. But I think more generally, the trend is that 2 years ago, you could have made money just by turning the lights on.
Yes.
Now it's a more challenging environment, more challenging macro environment, even independent of the weather. And so you now really have to have tight and rigorous operations to really be successful. And this goes back to what we talked about with the sales and marketing funnel. Like, every part of your marketing has to be dialed in. every part of your call booking has to be dialed in. Your selling, your experience in the field has to be dialed in. Then, of course, the operational side of like implementing, whether it's a roof replacement or a replacement on HVAC system, the install process be dialed in, financials, everything. You just have to be a much better operator than in the past to be really successful. But those that adapt are enjoying disproportionate amounts of success.
You know, it's funny because you said your operations have to be intact in your system and processes. You've seen me in the last 7-8 months take 8 different roofing companies, see them all grow. I have 2 more that we're bringing on right now.
And that's my point. For those that do well, disproportionate amount of success, just like you've enjoyed. But it takes hard work.
It does. It does take hard work. But once you have it down, I'm not saying I have it down, I'm the only one that has it down, but once you have 80, 90% of it down, it does get easier, but you have to pay attention to the details. And during COVID, no one had to. Now, you got to pay attention, like you said, from your marketing to the time the phone rings, to how it was booked, to did people run the sales call, did it close, to how you install it. Like right now, our biggest problem at LB Capital, I call it, we need a solution for, is how do we make our production faster, right? You know, you're selling, you know, Munsey's going to sell just in Philadelphia $4 million this month, close to it. Wow. Well, how do we get $4 million of it installed? Well, we haven't done it yet, right? We've only hit, I think our best month's been like 2.8 when we sold 3.5. Well, think about it, it's a $700,000 gap not done. Yeah. Wow. Like you have to, that's a lot of money. And so I think people don't realize there are things that you have to pay attention to. Like you have the greatest salespeople. And I think a lot of people at times, and you correct me if I'm wrong, people pride themselves on being a roofer or an HVAC person instead of saying, I got to change my mindset and become more of a business person. Yeah. Can you talk about that, what you see with that, or?
Absolutely. All these contractors, they're entrepreneurs. They're very bright, ambitious, hardworking, innovative entrepreneurs, and they're building more and more successful businesses. And as a business scales, like we all need to adapt, even in my business. Every next stage that I get to requires a different version of Ara. It requires an Ara that is more developed, thinking differently, and operating differently. And a large part of this is learning how to operate with incredible operational rigor, which was my own personal journey that I had to spend a lot of time and effort on in order to successfully adapt. But it made my business better too, because the same challenge that contractors have been facing for the past year and a half, I mean, just take a look at the markets and take a look at the valuations of software companies. Software companies have faced the very same phenomenon, but those that started to operate it with more rigor and more discipline started doing better across the board. Marketing better, selling better, building better, becoming more profitable, achieving higher revenue growth. So the spoils disproportionately go to those that make that adaptation quickly.
Do you believe being an entrepreneur, the difference between being an owner or a manager and an entrepreneur, I believe one of the biggest factors is how you digest stress every day. Because you learn to live under stress. Yeah. And it just becomes your way of life. Yeah. I mean, do you agree? I mean, like I used to 5-6 years ago have to come home and drink after a day because I was so. Now I could go 3 weeks without touching alcohol because I'm like, this is just a typical day. And it changed my mindset to owning multiple companies. Can you talk about that? Do you believe stress, the rigor, is you had to adapt with that as you grow? And you had to have.
Absolutely. So it's been stressful since day one. I think, like you said, Vahe and I have become better at coping with or managing the stress, but also we recognize that all businesses have challenges. Even, pick the next software company that is bigger than ServiceTitan, more successful than ServiceTitan, and I've talked to many of them, they all have their own set of challenges. So I believe it's kind of like this hamster wheel of always facing challenges. And so I've learned to adapt my mindset more of like a learning mindset. My responsibility is to constantly learn to solve existing challenges, knowing that as soon as I do, there will now be a next set of challenges solved. In your case, for example, why is it that you have a production backlog problem? It's because you learned to solve the sales challenge. And you crushed it on sales, which now creates this backlog on the production side. And guess what? Once you solve that, you're probably going to go to figure out the next thing on the marketing side, which will generate far more leads. And then you're going to have a sales problem. And then you're going to solve that. And then you're going to have a production problem again. And then there's going to be some other problem. So
you're always solution finding.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny you say that, production problem. I'm actually spending Wednesday and Thursday all day with the production team. That's all I'm doing, Wednesday and Thursday. I want to see what they're doing because they're like, you don't understand. I'm like, it sounds pretty simple to me. Order comes in, I order the material, I call the customer, let them know. If the customer doesn't answer, I schedule the next available date, tell them no different than when you order an iPhone. They don't give you the date to get it, they tell you when it's coming. If you have a problem with that date, let them know. We text, email them that, order the dumpster, pull the permit, put the sub on it, or the employee, and send a PM. Go. I mean, I'm like, maybe I'm simplifying it, but I challenged the guy yesterday. He scheduled 15 customer appointments on a Sunday and booked 13 material jobs.
Wow.
All by himself in one day, 8 hours.
There you go.
So it tells you it can be done very easily if you just talk and communicate.
Yeah. And what I love is what you're doing is constantly inspecting the key processes in your businesses. Right? One of the key processes is production. The other is selling. The other is marketing. The other is call booking, et cetera, et cetera. And I think it's very important that as leaders, we don't lose sight of what happens at the ground level in the key processes. And every once in a while, we inspect, how are we selling? How are we booking? How, and I don't mean like performance-wise, how are we doing? I mean like literally, how are we answering the calls? Listening to the call recordings. How are we selling in the field? Listening to those recordings. Inspecting how the production process is done. Because I think while our teams are gifted in their own ways and they come up with their own ideas that we might not, as leaders, as founders, as CEOs, we have our own perspective that is unique, and we will likely come up with innovative ideas and solutions that others might not.
You know, let's change Pantheon, right? Let's talk about conferences. You know, I went and bought Dimitri's conference for roofing. People are like, why would you buy his conference? I said, no different. I told you a year ago, I was in a parking lot. I was like, I'm going to change the roofing space. I'm like, why go create my own conference when I can just go buy his conference? He's a good man, great guy, good family values, a dad like me. Like, he aligned with me with a lot of different things. I do believe he wants to truly help contractors. You have Pantheon, which is an event I think flies under the radar for conferences. Like, if you ask people what's the top 5 conferences you go to, Pantheon's probably not even in there. And it has to be a top 2 or 3 conferences for contractors. Number one, why do you think it flies underneath the radar? Because I'm going to ask you honestly, why? And you guys give away so much free information to people. You'll be almost nuts not to show up. Because I mean, I don't even know what a ticket costs, but for what you get, even if you charge $2-3 grand for a ticket, it's well worth it. Can you talk about why you fly under the radar, you think, first?
So, probably in roofing, it flies under the radar simply because ServiceTitan previously was not serving roofing contractors until, a year ago. Certainly in plumbing, HVAC, electrical, garage door, et cetera, it is by far the #1 conference. Like, everybody knows about it, and we're going to have almost 5,000 contractors there, all of the best operators, the most successful businesses, and it's the biggest networking opportunity there is. You love to network, you assemble a great team around you, you assemble great peers around you, you help them so much. I hope every once in a while you also learn from them. But that same dynamic is going to exist at Pantheon because every contractor there is to share, their ideas, their solutions, but also their problems with others in hopes of learning from them. And then, it's a massive event. It's also a lot of fun, but it's highly educational.
It is. Well, and let me rephrase that question, because for HVAC, you are by far the #1. I'm talking about roofing specifically for selfish things. I think every roofer should be out on ServiceTitan. And I believe that wholeheartedly. Like, part of being part of LB Capital is you have to be on ServiceTitan. Like, it's a non-negotiable. Like, that's just part of it. Okay, guys, this is our system. Well, I love this. Guys, listen, you don't even understand. You don't comprehend it. It's going to be that way. Are you going to start making it more about roofing there and helping roofers, or are you going to kind of wait another year or two? Or are you going to say, you know what, let's just let it rip and let's go?
No, the decision's already been made. ServiceTitan is in roofing. We've had the good fortune of partnering with you. We've had the good fortune, you mentioned some other names like Vertex. But already, many of the largest, most successful roofing companies have partnered with ServiceTitan, and we are very excited by the success that roofers are seeing and our ability to help automate a lot of the best practices and processes that they want to happen in their business on every call for every customer every single time. So it's no longer a question. And I suspect in the same way that, you know Tommy Mello, right?
I know Tommy, you're my good friend, you know that.
Something very similar happened. There was a point where ServiceTitan did not serve garage doors because we didn't recognize yet whether we were a good fit for garage door. And similarly, Tommy called me and he said, hey, Ara, I am sure ServiceTitan is a great fit for garage door X, Y, and Z, and I want to partner together, and we did. Very shortly after, ServiceTitan is now the number one product by far in garage door. I suspect, like 6 to 9 months, the same will be true in roofing, because now I've seen it firsthand, how amazing the roofing industry is and what a great fit ServiceTitan is. So.
There really is not a big difference between roofing, HVAC, garage doors. That's what I was saying to you on the phone, and you were like, Lance, do you really believe that? And I started telling you all the reasons why. I'm like, Ara, I'm telling you, look at me, I'm getting here. It's roofers don't even understand how good it is. I guess when you're eating dog shit all day, you don't realize, the lobster over here is really, really good. Let me go. No, I'm not being rude. And and here's a funny story. Before I called you and got you to get on board, because Tom Howard's like, there's no way you're going to get him, Lance. I'm just telling you. I'm telling you he's going to do it. Just give me his number. Let me talk to him. He put us on a group chat, if you remember.
Yeah, I remember.
I actually reached out to AccuLinks. I don't know if I ever told you this.
Yeah, you did.
And I said, listen. And he was like, well, I want you to come join us and we'll talk and we'll have a conversation. I said, no, you got to do the front part of all their marketing stuff. He's like, we're not made for that. We have the back-end integration of ordering materials. I'm like, a moron can figure out that API. No, I'm not being rude. I understand technology, let's be honest. To integrate an API to give you a PO from Beacon and back to communicate into I call it a LID, right? Customer ID number, isn't that difficult.
Correct.
Am I lying?
Very much correct.
It's the front-end marketing piece. What do you spend the most money on besides your employees? Most likely marketing.
Yeah.
And so that was just funny how that happened. I guess because I know we got to wrap up. What is next for ServiceTitan? What is next for Ara? What are you about? Because you guys just keep going and going and going.
Yeah. Ultimately, Vi and I care about two things. We care about helping as many contractors as possible. And then second, we care about, for any specific contractor, helping them as much as possible. And we still see a lot of running room to do so. So there are still a lot of contractors we haven't had the good fortune of partnering with. So we look forward to that. But then equally importantly, as wide and deep of a solution that ServiceTitan is, there are still so many other things we can offer to contractors. We talked about one of them, Contact Center Pro. There will be other announcements at Pantheon. But what's really awesome is that contractors are building even more successful businesses. What you have done is unbelievable, but I promise you, 3 years from now, what you will be doing, we cannot even predict today. We cannot predict how at scale you'll be 3 years from now, how innovative you'll be 3 years from now, how much even bigger your ambition will be. And when that day comes, you will need more from your technology partner, right? And my job is to make sure I am never the constraint to your growth and your ambition. So that means I got to evolve. And that's why, if you take ServiceTitan, we spend $200 million a year just in R&D, right? It is by far the largest investment in the trades there is.
Explain what that is, because a lot of people watch this saying, well, $20 million on R&D, research and development, right?
200.
I know, $200 million. That was our conversation about how much you have to put into the roofing space. I'm not going to get that number out, but you can if you want. But explain to people how much you spend into research and development and why. And you're trying to always evolutionize your product.
Yeah. First, because no software is perfect, including ServiceTitan. So there's always things that need to be improved. But then second, there is always more that we can do, more that we can offer a contractor. And as we do, we see they run even more successful businesses, which is great for them. And it's also great for us. The more they grow, we do better financially as well. So we're happy to make the investment. And frankly, that's what it's required in this day and age when so many businesses are now technology powered, right? Our goal is to help automate as many of the things in your business as you need automated. And there's still more things we haven't automated that you want automated, right?
Oh, yeah.
Which will improve your profit margins. So we want to deliver that to you, and it requires a lot of money to do so. Engineering is very expensive.
You know, you said another thing that I don't think people picked up on. You will go out of your way to help contractors. And I can tell you my own personal story when I was having problems with projects and figuring out, you sent Abby, I forget the other gentleman out, they were out at my place for a whole week. And then it got so crazy, you sent Ryan Bowman and Haran out, if you remember. You were like, just send them out. But also, you sent Tom Howard out to Ishmael. Now, you got to remember, guys, we're not making money last year. I lost $1 million building up my roofing platform. You took a bet on me. You took a bet on Tommy Melt. Hey, I guess talk about your gut. What makes you say, hey, I'm going with these people? Because you've had to been burned doing it by now, betting on people. And number two, you know, you'll send people out to help people.
Yeah. So, dude, you just remind me, you mentioned Ishmael. You know, about 5 years ago, when Ishmael had just signed up for ServiceTitan. And back then, I didn't know Ishmael, I didn't know NextGen Air, and NextGen was not a large company. He probably had, 20 people. And a few months after he signed up, our CRO, Ross, walked into my office, and he's like, all right, I got to talk to you about something. I'm like, what is it, Ross? He's like, there's a customer called NextGen Air. They're having trouble using ServiceTitan. I'm like, okay, why are you talking to me? You know what we do. If customers having trouble, we're all over it. We make them successful. He's like, well, we already did the analysis on what it'll take, and we estimated out the cost. I'm like, okay, Ray, why are you talking to me? Just go spend the money and get it done. And he's like, well, it's going to cost $200,000. I'm like, why are you talking to me? Go get it done. He's like, well, it's a big number. Are you sure you want to prove it? I'm like, listen, if we drop the ball on a commitment to a customer, I don't care what it takes, we fix it, right? And so at that time, all I wanted to do was honor my commitment to Ishmael. I had never met him. It wasn't even me that made the commitment, right? But it's probably some sales rep on my team that made it. But we still got to honor the commitment. And so we made it right. And then I didn't hear from about this again. Fast forward years later, right? I get to build a relationship with Ishmael. Ishmael became one of the top referrers of ServiceTitan. God knows how much he's referred onto ServiceTitan. All the contractors he's referred probably have done millions and millions, tens of millions of dollars of business with us. But for me, what I love about what I get to do is I get to do the right thing. And the right thing also, in the end, always happens to be financially the right thing for the business. And same thing happened with our conversation when you were having issues. And I told the team, I don't care what it takes, right? I wasn't thinking about, would Lance be referring me business in the future or anything like that. It's the right thing to do. But look at today.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
I refer everyone to it.
Look at what an incredible partner you've been to us. Look at how much you've helped us build the right solution in roofing. Look at how many roofing contractors you've referred our way, which I'm incredibly grateful for. Same thing happened with Tommy Mello, and same thing happened with a long list of other contractors. And so I think I've just been conditioned that every time especially when we drop the ball, that I just say, I don't care what it takes, make them successful. It always turns out to pay dividends in the future financially. So I'm just happy that we can do the right thing and make money in business.
One last question. This is the hot seat one.
Oh boy.
When are you bringing in another company besides FinTech? Come on, Ara. I told you I'm going to ask you. When are you bringing another option in, brother? Come on.
For what? For financing?
Yes, and checks taking and.
So we.
He doesn't want to answer the question. I told you I wasn't going to let you off easy. I love you. I love everything about you. But that's my last one. Come on.
So we recognize we have quite a bit of work to do, especially on the checks front. And I'm hard at work on making sure we have a better solution. So
just tell him, get to know the business people. Not everyone falls into a checkbox.
Yeah.
If it's someone's 10th company with you, clearly they're going to honor a bounce check.
Yeah. I totally recognize that. Unfortunately, we partner with institutions.
Banking's brutal. We just got hit with a thing for not having a finance license in Jersey. I'm like, what do you mean? I need a license to be able to offer someone financing in Jersey? They're like, yes. I'm like, the government just takes and takes, but that's a whole other conversation. Listen, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for doing this. I know you're busy.
It's my pleasure.
Kudos to you and Vahe for what you build here. It's amazing, and I can't say enough about it. If you haven't checked out ServiceTitan, go check it out, especially if you're in the roofing space. HVAC, obviously you heard of them. Garage doors, I'm assuming you heard of them by now. Roofers, I'm telling you, it will change your life. I sold my first roofing company in under 15 months being on ServiceTitan, and I was using the shit wrong. And it still was better than anything else I found. And that's the truth. That's a true story.
Yeah, it's been a blessing having a front row seat to watching your journey, Lance. And I really believe the only thing more exciting than how far you've come is how much further you've yet to go. And if we can play some small role in supporting that journey, it's the greatest honor. And again, thank you for how much you've supported ours, and very much looking forward to the continuation of this beautiful partnership.
Thanks, brother.
Thank you.
Hey everyone, thank you for joining us today. I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors, ServiceTitan and Rilla, our technology of choice to helping us scale and grow our business and making sure all of our viewers have the technology to scale their business so when they want to sell it, they're able to. That's a wrap for today's show. We hope you loved it. We hope you got some actionable takeaways that you can implement into your business to start making it more profitable tomorrow and help you grow. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Look forward to giving you more information to help you grow your business today.